Good day, everybody. So we were fortunate enough to sit down with Mr. Dave Nosworthy, the Director of Cricket at St. David's Marists in Anda. It was an awesome little interview. We learned a lot with him and from him, and we hope you enjoyed it. Before we move on with the segment, don't forget to go find yourself some IXU merchandise at ixusport.com. Thank you.
If you don't have a IXU bats, pads or gloves, you can also catch it there. We deliver nationwide and internationally if you ask very nicely. I think the tournament went great. I mean, we're so saturated with T10, T20 tournaments. To have a time cricket festival was so cool, and to make it a festival so it's not that competitive, I think that was a pretty cool thing. I don't know, like, what you guys think about it. But
well, if you say not as competitive, I'll disagree, because these are all big schools, Proud Schools, Maritzburg College, Polros, JP, and the cricket we saw on the day was extremely competitive, and I really enjoyed getting to know the coaches, speaking to a lot of the boys at the tournament. They took it very, very seriously.
Definitely.
And it was really good. It was the first time that I experienced like time cricket. So it was very nice. It was something new.
You also see the kids aren't necessarily used to the tactics, but as soon as they get it, they play the tactics brilliantly. Yeah. It was really, really cool to see. And then the other thing that I was really shocked about is most of the kids I had to greet, I had to look up. I mean, I don't know what are they eating.
They're getting big now.
I know I'm not the tallest boy in the room.
Especially the Polros boys.
There's something in that Stellenbosch area.
No, so I think the massive thing that I found from speaking to the boys is you did see the ones who maybe knew the game a little bit better, they could adjust earlier on. But definitely as the tournament went on, it seemed like everyone started to get the hang of things. The tactics were starting to come into play. The coaches were starting to get their ideas to the kids a little bit better and be able to express what it was that they wanted from them. And from speaking to the coaches as well throughout the tournament, you kind of saw how they developed day by day just from being exposed to it.
South African cricket is in a healthy place if the kids develop as they are developing now. I feel that a lot of runs were scored, a lot of wickets was taken. So I'm very excited to see more of this time cricket festivals.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys can vote. We're going to put up a poll to ask, should we bring back more time cricket in school format? So let's ask that. And also, this format of a chat, we want to do more often. So would you like to see more of those? We love these chats.
This is
and we haven't even gotten fiery yet. So we are going to disagree with each other and get fiery. Maybe, maybe have some heated chats.
Like Braai.
We'll definitely Braai. Yeah, we can do that.
Or maybe do a banter session as well.
We can do a banter session. But these chats are good, and we want you to chat along. But enjoy episode 8 with Mr. Dave Nosworthy. Big shout out to him as well.
And
it was
St.
a great
interview.
Us as well. Yes, and St. David's. What a school, legends. And we'll see you in the next episode. Remember to like and subscribe as well. So I've got Mr. Dave Nosworthy over here, the head of cricket or the director. I'm not sure exactly what your title is, but of St. David's Maritzburg in Anda. Did I say that correctly?
Perfect.
It's a mouthful. But it's so awesome to have a chat with you. Welcome to IXU on Air.
Thanks, guys. Good to be here. IXU are a brand that's been with us for a while, so we know it very well.
Awesome. No, it's really cool to be so actively part of the tournament and just seeing all the kids play. Now, the first question that I asked, why time cricket? I mean, it's kind of like everyone's going in the T20, T10 direction. Yeah. Why time cricket?
So I think if you speak to the connoisseurs of cricket, the custodians of the game, they'll tell you how important time cricket is, or the longer version, whether it is 2-day, 3-day or 4-day or test cricket. And then you'll find your guys that aren't necessarily connoisseurs or custodians or more the marketing guys. They'll push very much towards the limited overs, T20, because it is exciting and we all love it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I think the base and the foundation for youngsters in terms of understanding their game it's very important that they get a little bit of time cricket, as we call it, into their game. So they get this foundation, this understanding of how to spend time at the crease as a batter, as a bowler, be able to bowl more than 4 overs like they do in a T20. So they get maybe 18 overs, 16 overs in a day themselves. They'll feel it in their bodies, but they develop skills which they need for limited overs cricket down the line.
Yeah.
And if you go straight into that, you don't have the chance and time to develop it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're big fans of it. And every coach that's here today out of the 12 teams, and we've had many provincial players over the years as coaches, they all play this game and they love it and they know they're doing the right things for the boys.
Yeah, no, definitely. What I've picked up as well is you can see or you can hear the chats around lunchtime, all the boys chatting, the schools are mixing, the chats are chats of excitement and of getting in the time to play cricket. So it is definitely working.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I just think, sorry, to add to that, your top cricketers in the world, they all want to play test cricket because that's the real test.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's time cricket. Anyone can go, not anyone, but go and play and hit it and smash it, and you come off and you don't come off. And I love T20, let me say that. And I think it's magnificent that it's going in that direction. There's big money involved. But trust me, you need this base. And if our administrators and custodians of the game forget that, it's going to be very dangerous for a lot of guys because they'll miss out of the game, and the game of cricket will change forever.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think, like you've said, and what I've learned a little bit from just being here this last week, and that this festival originally started out as a T20 festival, and then you changed in 2017 to a time festival now and that. Would you say, what would your opinion be from looking at the years of this tournament being played, festival being played, going into the season? Would you say that watching how the boys have matured or used this festival going into their season, what would you say, have there been benefits from it? Have you seen the way that they conduct themselves throughout the season, use this for the games that they play?
Yeah, look, when I got here 7 odd years ago now, there was a T20 festival, very successful one, and somehow managed to twist the arms of the people around, and they'll tell you that they were a little bit worried that we were changing it. Went away from T20, which everybody was loving and just doing it for the sake of doing it, and we went into this now time cricket festival. So it's definitely changed mindsets. There's not a boy at St. David's or some of the other schools I walk around and talk to, and I know a lot of the coaches and that don't look forward to the Faskin Cricket Time Festival. And Faskin's been with us for 7 years, as you guys know, as have you, as IXU. You've been loyal supporters as sponsors. And, there's no doubt, you look at our roll of players that have come through this festival and gone on to play Test cricket, 3-day cricket for provinces, franchises, South Africa. Marco Jansen was at this festival a few years ago. So it's not because of us or this festival, but it would have given him that much more of a foundation and an understanding. And I chat quite often to the top international coaches, and one of their biggest problems is that youngsters, schoolboys, come to them when they're at that age and they don't know enough about the game. And they don't understand what Test cricket is and what the strategies and the tactics are. So if we can start breeding that at this level, helping those guys at the top level and the boys, everyone will benefit. So I think it's played a big role personally. Maybe I'm biased, but I've been around for a while, and I would think that 99% of players in world cricket have had a base, and the Australians, the Indian players, they've all had a base of time cricket, all of them. And no surprise that they're number 1 and 2 in the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just changing the gear a bit, not necessarily with going away from cricket, but you've coached over the years, and you've seen many greats throughout your time coaching. What would you say, let's say the top 3 mindsets of the boys coming in, leaving as men and becoming these world-class cricketers? What would you say those 3 values or three mindsets are that set them apart from all the other players? And a follow-up question on that is, can you spot a lighty, a young boy coming into your team when he exhibits those, this guy's going to be great? Is there a way to spot it, and what are those values?
Yeah, it's a tough one because there's been many over the years that will think somebody's going to make it and they never do, and there will be just as many that you think, he'll be an average cricketer and he becomes a champion.
Yeah.
So there is no exact science, but you get indicators. One of the major indicators, I think, look, over the years I've been privileged to just touch and work with players as they've passed through my hands. An AB Afaf, a Josh Butler at Somerset. I've just had interactions with them. But there's one common thing between all of them. They are massively competitive. They just want to win everything. They're the sort of person that will make sure they beat their little 12-year-old sister in Monopoly. And that's great. You want to win.
Yeah.
And with that comes different values of prepared to work twice as hard, hit more balls than anybody else, get the IXU bat out and hit for hours.
Yeah.
So that's the type of work ethic you got. A lot of the top cricketers are good human beings. They're good people. Yeah. They've got patience. They've got understanding. They're good listeners. They don't talk a big game. They play a big game.
Yeah.
So there are lots of those little values and things about a good top cricketer. They become very good filterers of information.
Yeah.
So you must know as you grow up as a young guy, you've got so many people telling you different things. And I've worked over the years with players at franchise and provincial players where I'll sit with them and I'll say, who's influencing your game? And 90% of them give me 20 names, from fathers to aunties to cousins to best friends to coaches to private coaches to whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you're taking 20 bits of information in, you're going to be as confused as anything.
Yeah.
Your top players narrow that down to the people they trust, and they will be able to then filter it in and use what they need. And so many youngsters today are influenced by friends, by parents that sometimes know the game very well, don't know the game very well, and it's this whole mix that they've got to get right for them, and then they get a better understanding of the game. So there's no right and wrong because everyone's different, and that's the wonderful thing. This whole chemistry of cricket is what's so intriguing. You don't know who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. There's been probably, in my time, three players as youngsters who I said to myself, they're going to play big cricket. And the youngsters that I've been privileged enough to see and work with. Yeah. The one was Josh Butler. The other one was a guy called, I don't know if you've heard of him, Dale Steyn.
Rings a bell.
Yeah, you could just see from day one he's something special.
Competitive nature.
Yeah, and you don't buy pace off the shelf at Pick and Pay, but it was how to harness that pace. So he was another one, and then the third one was AB as well as a youngster. So when I was at the Titans as the head coach there, we gave him early breaks. He played in the Titans in a warm-up game for the World Cup against Canada. The Titans were playing Canada, and he got 100.
Wow.
And you just knew, there was something here. How do you bring it together? How do you polish it? Not me. 50 different other coaches, trainers, physios, all packaged together. I had my little piece, maybe, I don't know. But he's gone on and he's a legend in the game.
Yeah. No,
And I think also taking it back again, you've spoken about the competitiveness, but he's also spoken about the conversations that the boys have here. Yeah. I think what's also so important about a festival like this is bringing the boys together and allowing them to see the different talent that come from all around the country and, watch their friends play, make new friends, meet new people, talk to their peers. Because you speak about the influence that coaches have, but I'm a believer that your peers have a massive influence on how you approach the game as well. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on what you think about the boys coming together and being able to interact as the different teams? And you said it early on in the festival, there is no winner or loser at this festival and that, and I think that's a big mindset that you guys have when setting it up. So can you elaborate a little bit more on that and why it is that you make it a festival rather than a tournament?
Yeah, look, I think just the fact that the boys know they can come and play a pre-season festival, lots of cricket, and be under little pressure to try and be on the ranking lists that these guys all live by today. Just get out there and bat for a long period, get out there and bowl for a long period, get to know different people, get to appreciate and respect other cricketers. It's the good person I spoke to you about. All those top cricketers are good human beings, some way. And we try to create it in this festival by, number one, saying it's a festival. Number two, you guys were at the opening breakfast, where we all sat in the same hall. Had Kruger van Wyk talk to us this year as an ex-international cricketer himself. And just to be smartly dressed, and the sponsors and everybody, it was a good feel in that room.
Yes.
From there you leave, you go and play your games, you sit and have lunches together, and you guys join us for these. Your plates are very highly packed, but that's fine.
Definitely.
Free food.
Definitely.
So that's awesome. They all sit together, and it's quite interesting. You watch in the hall there. Our players will go to different players and different tables. How did you do?
Exactly.
There's this interaction. And then the purple cap, which you guys know about at the end of the day, where the opposition team get to tell you who your best player was, and the other team says who the other team's best player was, how they performed, what their best score was, and they give them the purple cap, which they get to wear the next day for the rest of the festival. So yeah, I just think it's all about interaction. Tonight we're having a braai outside here, traditional South African braai, and we'll be socialising again. So as much of that as possible, because guaranteed down the line you're going to get guys seeing each other, knowing each other in some form of the game.
So the last question that I have is the word passion. What does it mean to you, and how does it play out on the cricket field?
Yeah. Look, passion, you've just said the word. Passion for me is an action. How are you going to behave? How are you going to behave in the right fashion? You can be so passionate that you're over-appealing. That's not an excuse. You need to stay within the spirit of the game. But passion is, and I see it a lot of young guys, they're always on time in the morning. They're passionate to be there. They don't have to... They asking mom and dad to get out of bed and drop me off. So there's a lot of passion in that. There's passion at the end of the day's play when they're the last to leave and they've cleared up the change room. They've packed the chairs. So it doesn't have to be passion on the field. It can be a collective passion. And I think that's probably, you can throw these words around. It's one of the values of these top players. They're all passionate about what they do. But they all also have their downtime. It might be watching Formula One or rugby, the Springboks or whatever. And you need to have that different time. You can't be totally focused on cricket, rest assured. Some of my players have always said to me, never underestimate the value of rest, coach. And as a coach, you want them training, working, and you sort of digest that. I'm so passionate, actually, foot off the pedal. Don't underestimate that value of rest, So passion's an action word, but it's got to be a balanced word too.
Yeah, definitely. And then I lied when I said the last question.
Yeah.
The very last question. So we're starting a cool habit on the podcast is to...
This sounds dangerous.
Is to ask the next guest a question. So the previous guest asked, what was your most embarrassing moment? So the previous guest was the Oates twins. They're music artists. And we'll play you a song now. We haven't played it before. They asked, what was your most embarrassing moment in your career? And then after you've answered that, you get to ask the next guest a question. So let's hear that embarrassing moment.
I'm actually very curious to see that.
Probably as a player, not as a coach. Playing down at Newlands and a full house, 25,000 people or whatever it was, getting under the high ball and dropping a catch in front of gentlemen behind me that were rather abusive throughout the evening under lights. And I was just very embarrassed there. I think that's probably it's not the most exciting story, but rest assured in my life that sits with me.
I can just picture it, a whole crowd going, ooh.
Yeah, well, they were doing that before I even got the ball near me.
Oh, goodness.
So the good news is I caught one later to do well, but
Revenge.
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
Would you say with that embarrassing moment, you say it carrying over with you, there is at least a lesson out of it? I know it's just a dropped catch and that, but obviously, you don't want to drop that catch in front of so many people. The pressure's on you and that. Would you say there is some kind of lesson you could have taken?
Yeah, the big lesson as a coach is that I was able to share with my players how important it is to move on quickly to make sure you're doing the next exercise or catch is coming again, how you're going to operate. Yeah, it can sit with you for so long. Look, this incident isn't, I'm not losing sleep from it, I can assure you, but it's there with you. So the lesson is to ensure that you don't lose sleep over it. Move on, and very much in my life, I try and get across to youngsters. There's too much fear of failure. You got to get away from failure. We're quick sometimes as coaches to point out the negatives. We need to move on and get the positives, and that's how all those top players I spoke about, the Butlers, the De Villiers, the Fafs, all of them, they just think positive, boy. They go.
Yeah.
They're backing themselves. And all those top players back themselves.
Yeah.
No, that's amazing.
Definitely.
Awesome.
Thanks for sharing.
Now time for your question.
Yeah, now let's get a question for the next host or the next guest.
guest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to know probably your guests are varied, aren't they? They're not just sporting
not just
people,
sporting people. They are in the sporting world,
mostly
but they're
sports.
I
cricketers.
got one
or-
from the music world, didn't I?
Yeah. So and we don't reveal the next guest just so
Yes,
the question is not too directed.
Yeah.
It needs to be quite a general, or it can be deep.
Yeah.
It can be what do you fear the most, or something deep like that.
Yeah, I'd like to know that what was their most brilliant bit of what was their highlight of their life, of their career. What really stood out for them in their life that not just a highlight, but what was that highlight that changed them and took them into a different mindset to be better.
Good.
Yeah, that's good.
To be better.
I think that's
Because you have a lot of highlights, but what actually was that turning point that said, yes, I've got to do things, I've done well, but I've got to take myself to the next level.
Yeah,
That's
that's all.
have that.
I think that's a very good follow-up question. It's nice we're getting now
Yeah.
the one end of the question
Yeah.
and then the complete opposite. So we'll be
Yeah.
very excited to ask that one for the next
Definitely.
week.
Thank you for your
Thank
time,
you.
Dave, and I hope the rest of the festival is really awesome, and I
Yeah.
hope the festival continues for
many years.
hundreds of years to come.
Yeah, let's hope so. And thanks to IXU, you guys are brilliant. You've been here all 4 days, 3 days going into the fourth. But IXU, you guys are a hell of a good group of people, and hopefully you stay with us for a long time. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
And I hope that anyone watching this, maybe some youngsters or something that could potentially play in it one day, learned a little something from this and can maybe get excited to be a part of it. And alternatively, if it's not the Fasken Festival, but they know some kind of time festivals coming up, you kids out there, even people aspiring to play longer format cricket, take some of the words that I said. It is a great foundation for the future of cricket, and as much as the T10, T20 ODI cricket is so exciting to watch, we all do love it. The history behind Test cricket, longer format cricket throughout the world is massive, and we want that passion to stay alive, and make sure that the people who play it for many, many years to come. So thank you for all your effort that you're also putting in to bring that to the youth.
Awesome.